We already have discussed what is DNS and what is authoritative name service. Route 53 is nothing but a name server service which AWS provides you. If you have a website, if you have a domain, you can add your domain to the DNS service of AWS by connecting to Route 53. Then you can publish to the world that Route 53 name surveys are the authoritative name surveys of your website. That is something you can do. So think about this. You have a website called basil.com. You registered with GoDaddy, and this is what I want from all of you. If you haven't done that yet, register a website for your own, right? Register a website. You can register for a .info website, which is very cheap. I think 99 rupee per year or something. It's very cheap. Hello. Yeah, I hope you can hear me. I just got disconnected for a second. Yeah, let me know if you find any problem with my voice or any problem with my screen being delayed. Yeah. So assume you have a website that you have registered with any registrar, for example, GoDaddy. This is what I want you to do. You can register for a website called something.info. How you would do that? You go to the registrar website, for example, GoDaddy. And over there you would find some search box where you can check your website that you are searching for is available. For example, devopsdocs.info is the website that you want to register. devopsdocs.info. So first you search in the search box to check whether the domain is available. If it is available, you can register that for 179 rupees per year. So for the first 1 year you need to pay devopsdocs.info 179 rupees. Okay, do that. Go ahead, click on add to cart, then go ahead, make the payment. You need to provide the credit card or net banking also work, I think. I'm not sure. You need to provide the credit card or your debit card to make the payment, and the domain is yours. It's registered under your account, your name. The next thing that you want to do is you need the authoritative name server that you already know. After registering the website, the next thing what you want is a set of authoritative name server. What you can actually do is you can log into your AWS account, go to the service Route 53, then add your website into Route 53, devops.com, devopsdocs.info. You add that website into Route 53. Then I will show you how to do that. You go into Route 53, service within AWS, click on services, go to under networking, you can see Route 53, click on it. Then you will be taken to this page, Route 53 page. Over here you can see hosted zones on the left side, click on it. This is where you can add your website. Right now I don't have any website added to Route 53. That's what I'm going to do now. click on create hosted zone. I need to provide the domain name, let's say DevOps docs.info. Right now I have not registered this domain, but this is a available domain. If anyone want, you can register for it. And right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the same domain into Route 53. Basically I want the authoritative name service for my domain. That's why I am adding it to Route 53. Then Route 53 would give me the authoritative name server. These four are my authoritative name service. I'm not done yet. You can add whether even google.com also you can add it to AWS Route 53, but doesn't mean that you own this domain. So this settings would become valid only if you own this domain. And also after you registered this domain, the next thing that you need to do is you need to log into your registrar, then associate your domain name, that means devops.info, with these four name server. This is also something that you need to do. Then only you can tell that your domain would actually start working. They will start. So once you did that, once you provide this name server information to your registrar, then you are actually publishing to the world that these are the name servers of DevOps docs.info. What it means is, if now anybody tries to browse for DevOps docs.info, they will ask Route 53 that what is the IP address of DevOps docs.info. Basically, you are making these four name servers the authoritative name servers of your domain, DevOps docs.info. Okay, great. So assume you did this. Assume you did this. Then whenever people browse for DevOps docs.info, what would happen? Whenever people from different parts of the world, when they browse for DevOps docs.info, the request would be sent to the Route 53 DNS service. It will ask what is the IP address of DevOps docs.info. So in Route 53, you should add a record to point the website into the correct IP. So if you already added this A record, then people who is browsing for DevOps docs.info will get the IP address from the Route 53 name service, whatever IP address that you specified. This is nothing but the IP address of your web server. Maybe the server that run Apache, the web server. You know what is a web server. So the IP address is nothing but the IP address of the web server. So once the browser got the IP address of the web server, it will connect to the machine directly on port 80, and it will get the web pages from Apache, and that is when the web pages are displayed into his browser. So yeah, so that is what Route 53 is. I think, right, we had discussed enough about DNS. I think you are clear with Route 53 now. So what I am going to talk about is the different type of record that you can add into Route 53. Actually, there are different types of records. One record is a record. You already know what is mean by a record. So click on create record set. You can select from this drop down, you can select what type of record you want to add. You select a record. Over here, if you don't specify anything, then it is DevOps docs.info. Or if you specify ABC here, what it means is you are pointing abc.devops docs.info to the IP. If I don't put anything, what it means is I am pointing DevOps docs.info to the IP. So whatever IP I want to point, so assume this is nothing but my EC2 machine IP where Apache is running. So this is how you can add an A record into your Route 53 name service. Click on create button. That's it. So you know what is an A record. Now let's say people all over the world, they browse for the DevOps docs.info from their browser. The request will come to the Route 53 machine. And since you already added a record, then Route 53 will respond with the IP address whatever you specified in the a record field, which is nothing but 23.23.34.34, whatever IP that you had. given as the A record. Then anyone browsing for DevOps will connect to this IP to get the web pages of the website. And there is a different types of record also called MX record. If from the drop down you can see there are different types of record. We will discuss what are the most important ones. There is something called MX record. Basically, by adding a record, you already know what you are going to do. You are going to publish the web server details of your website to the world. What is the web server of DevOps docs.info is what you specify by a record. MX record means what is the mail server of DevOps docs.info. What it means is if somebody is trying to send out an email to some domain, some email ID on this particular domain, for example, user1 at the rate DevOps docs.info. I open my Gmail, then I am trying to send out an email to a user1 at the rate DevOps docs.info. In that situation, how does Gmail know to which server this mail should be forwarded to? Gmail need to know the mail should be sent to the mail server of DevOps docs.info. Maybe in my case, I haven't set up any mail server, but assume I already have a mail server set up where I can create user account and everything. So assume I have a email system ready. I have some machine which I have set up where I specified the email settings of DevOps docs.info. Then I also want people from all over the world when they try to send out an email to this DevOps docs.info, their email should come to this machine. So in that case, I need to add the details of this machine to Route 53. I would say if somebody emailed to this domain, forward those emails to this particular machine. That is the purpose of MX record. So what you need to do is, again, I told you, click on create record set. Over here, you are setting MX record for this domain. You don't need to put anything in this box. Click here, select MX as the record type. Over here, you can specify multiple mail servers. That's fine. Instead of specifying a single mail server, actually you can specify multiple mail server. And whichever mail server should get the highest priority, you would give a weightage. Let's say 10 means it is the highest priority than 20. So this is how I want to put it. Let's say 10, then mail dot devops docs dot info. Assume this is the machine. This is the DNS name of the machine to which I want the email to be forwarded to. 20 mail 2 dot devops docs.info. This is also another machine which can receive the emails, but the priority is the first machine. That is what indicated by the value 10. Less the value is, higher the priority is. So basically I am publishing to my DNS system saying that if somebody try to send an email to devopsdocs.com, they will ask the DNS system for the mail server where the mail should be forwarded to. This is the mail server that they should be informed about on a priority than this one. That's what indicated by the value 10 here. So click on create button. Click on create button and the MX record got added. So what it means is now let's say I open my Gmail. I have a Gmail account. I open my Gmail. I click on compose button. Then I try to send out an email to user1 at the rate devopsdocs.info. Then what my Gmail will do is Gmail will ask the authority name server, in this case Route 53 of uh, of devopsdocs.info. It will ask what is the MX record of devopsdocs.info. Then whichever 10, there is a record with priority 10, there is another with priority 20. So priority 10 would be given to this guy saying that okay, this is the mail server where you want to forward the emails to if you want to email devopsdocs.info. then this is that machine. Assume this is that machine, and then the email will be Gmail will try to deliver the email to this machine, whatever machine that you got from Route 53. That is what mean by MX record. Basically, you are publishing to the world which are the mail server that would receive emails for your domain. And there are different types of record. There is one more record type that I want to talk about: CNAME record. Let's say you want your website to be pointing to a different name rather than IP. You know what is a record? You are directly pointing your name to an IP. Now let's say what you can also do is you can point, let's say, www.devopsdocs.info. You are going to point that into devopsdocs.info. In fact, this devopsdocs.info points to this IP. So what you can actually do is you can add a CNAME record and tell that www.devopsdocs.info should point to the same IP as devopsdocs.info. That's what CNAME record is. It's a alias. Got it? So, or I can point it to google.com. Let's say I want people www.devopsdocs.info to be pointing to the same IP address as google.com. So such kind of alias you can set up by adding a CNAME record. So click on create record set. Over here you have an option, select CNAME as the record. Maybe www.devopsdocs.info or abc or blog whatever name I can put, blog.devopsdocs.info. This name I want to point to another name called, let's say, google.com. Or maybe I can simply point that to devopsdocs.info. So you can specify a name. So what this rule means is www.devopsdocs.info will point to the same IP as devopsdocs.info. That's what it means. Got it? So click on create record set. It should be CNAME. Yeah. Click on save record set. You can see the CNAME got added. So what it means is, oops, I think, yeah, whatever. That air record got deleted. Actually, I was editing the air record. Maybe I will add one more record. I want to point above stocks.info to the IP 23.23.23. So click on create button. So as you can see, there is one record that point devopsdocs.info to this IP, and the record www.devopsdocs.info pointing to devopsdocs.info. In fact, this points to this IP. So what it means is, this points to this points to this. That means this points to this. The same strategy that you can use when you want to point your website to a load balancer. Right, when you create elastic load balancers, AWS will not give you the IP address to which you want to point your website to. Instead, what they give is a load balancer name. So what you would do is you point www.devopsdocs.info to the load balancer name. What will happen if you do that? Let's say in this case I'm pointing something like elb dot my name dot something, right, Amazon AWS.com. Assume this is my load balancer name. So what I did is I pointed my website www.devopsdocs.info to this load balancer name. So click on save record set. You can see now my website points to the name of the load balancer. So now let's say somebody is browsing for the website, and assume I already have set Route 53 as my authoritative name server. Of course, it should be run. You should add the authoritative name server to your registrar page. Then only Route 53 would become your authoritative name server. So once you did that, when people browse for www.devopsdocs.info, the request will come here. It will ask what is the IP address of www.devopsdocs.info. Then the authoritative name server or the Route 53 will say, I don't know the IP address of www.devopstalks.info, but what I have is a CNAME. So go ahead and find out the IP address of elb.amazonaws.com. Then the users will connect with the respective authoritative name server and ask this name server of this domain what is the IP address of this. Then this authoritative name server will give them the correct IP address of your load balancer. Then you will connect to that load balancer. Then get your web pages served. Got it? So this is the advantages of CNAME. If you want to point your website to a name, you can use CNAME record. Okay, let me ask you one more question. Let's say this is you. You have one website, one business critical website, and you have customers all over the world. You have people from Europe and people from India. What you can do? You can actually add to a record. Assume in India, in Mumbai, you have set up an infrastructure where you will run this thing. You have a load balancer, you have number of WordPress machine running in the backend. This is completely in Mumbai, and you have the database and everything to which the WordPress machines are connecting to. The load balancer is distributing the load across these machines. So then auto scaling. Let's assume you have a complete infrastructure in Mumbai, and you have one infrastructure, similar infrastructure you have in Ireland also, in Europe also. You have a similar infrastructure. The elastic load balancer has an IP, then or name, not IP. For load balancer, it is name. For this elastic load balancer also, it has a name. So what you would want to do is, people who is browsing for your website, they get the IP address from Route 53, the authoritative name server of your website, and Route 53 would give either this load balancer name or this load balancer name. Then they will connect to one of this load balancer. So in that case, what you need to do is, inside the Route 53, you need to add two A records, or in this case not A record. In case of load balancer, it is CNAME record that you need to add. You need to add two CNAME record, one CNAME record pointing to this load balancer, other CNAME record pointing to this load balancer. You can do that. And you can even have the option geographic detection of usage location, which I will show you. I think, let's say people from Europe, they are browsing for your website. They should be sent to the infrastructure in the Europe. They should be sent to the load balancer in the Europe. People from India browsing for the same website, they should be redirected to the load balancer of Mumbai. So you want to do such thing. Then not able to hear. Can you hear me? Hello?
Oh, I can hear you. Fine.
Okay. Let me know if you find any problem.
Hello, Basil, you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is, I will show you. There is some option like routing policy. Basically, let's assume I'm going to add a CNAME record. This case, I'm selecting geolocation. What it means is, if somebody is browsing from Europe, set ID, enter a unique description that differentiate this record, set from the geolocation resource record set. Save name and type name. Route to settled data center. What is that? Route to Sealite data center. You can add something like this. Then click on code a set that is a unique within the group of geolocation sets. Okay. Geolocation set. Actually, I haven't done that yet. Okay. Let's click on save record. Create a record set button and click on existing record set. So what I did is I added this record, but I choose geolocation unspecified. People who is browsing for Europe would be redirected to this load balancer. Then I am adding one more record, pointing www same domain name www.devopstalks.info. This time I am pointing that to elb2.amazonaws.com, and I select geolocation, and this time I want the people who is accessing from Asia. Then click on create button. Then click on create button. This time we will set the unique with the group of the selection sets. I don't know what is. How to select. Maybe I don't have to put anything. It's not careful. Then this report from other geolocation research report set that have the same name and the type. Yeah, it is the same name and the type. So I give it a different name. Click on create. I don't know, maybe.
Can you speak louder? I can't hear you.
Yeah. Okay, I
Hello?
don't know. Yes, Musamil, I'll speak louder. What
Yeah,
I'm trying to
I
say
just
is,
read.
yeah. No, I was trying to fix something.
Okay.
This is how you add the geolocation records. You need to mention from this option, routing policy, you select geolocation. Then over here, you need to select the location where you want your usage. Let's say if somebody browse from Europe, to them, Route 53 would give this load balancer. If somebody browse from Asia, then you can choose one, you can add a different record, then choose the different record name, different load balancer name. So automatically the Route 53 will detect their location, and based on their location, Route 53 will route them to the respective load balancer, either in Mumbai or in Europe. Okay. And also one more situation. Think about this. You have two load balancers. You have one in Europe, then you have one in India, and it's all working fine. Let's say you have people browsing from all over the world. Based on their location, they are being redirected to one of these load balancers. Cool. Now assume there is a problem with this region, with the Ireland region. There is some problem. Your website is down or your infrastructure is down in Ireland region. What will happen? Route 53 will keep on giving the same load balancer name if people browse from Europe. Is that right? So they will be redirected to a load balancer which is not responding. So people who is browsing in Europe, they will not see your website. Your website will be down for them. So what you want to do is, you want your Route 53 to perform some health check to the load balancer machines in different regions to make sure that they are healthy. If Route 53 detected that one of these machine is not healthy, Route 53 will stop giving the IP address of that machine to the people. Let's assume the load balancer in Europe is down. Next time when people from Europe, when they browse for the website, the request will come to Route 53. But since Route 53 already know that this load balancer is down, it won't give the IP address of this load balancer. It would give the IP address of the healthy load balancer. So the same kind of health check that you would do in on the backend machine using a load balancer, those that we have seen when we learn load balancer, same kind of health check you can perform using Route 53 also. Just give me take a short break of 5 minutes. We will continue in 5 minutes. I will show you the health check after a short break. So what I said is, you can actually have health check in Route 53 the way how you did health check in elastic load balancers, right? The Route 53 would perform the health check, identify which machines are healthy, which A record or which CNAME record, which of those machines are healthy. Route 53 will make a note, and only healthy machine would be served through DNS to people all over the world. Then automatically people will connect to the healthy machine and get themselves served. Right, this that you can do here. You can go to the health check settings over here, click on health check. It's the same health check, the whatever that you have seen when you learned elastic load balancers. Same kind of health check you can perform in Route 53. Click on create health check. Then the same you can use the HTTP health check method. You can specify to which IP address your A record or the CNAME record, whatever it is. You specify that IP address, maybe 23.23.23.23. Then you can specify which is the path being browsed, and it is through HTTP. So basically what Route 53 will do is, it will connect to the backend machine. I mean, it will connect to this IP address. Maybe this is the IP address to which you pointed the A record to. DevOpsDocs.com points to this IP address, or maybe this particular CNAME, whatever. It will point to this CNAME, and you are performing a health check here on that particular name. And if it is down, Route 53 will not give that IP address to anyone. If it is up, the IP address can be given to people when they request for the IP address of DevOpsDocs.info. So this kind of health check you can perform in add in your Route 53. Then automatically it will perform the health check. You can click on advanced configuration to check different health check settings. Failure threshold, 3 consecutive attempts has failed, then it would become a failure. So like that you can have different settings. Then automatically if the machine is down, it will not, I mean, if that particular load balancer or if that particular IP address is down, it will mark that IP or load balancer name as down, and that name would not be given to your customers when they browse for your website. So that's pretty much about Route 53. It is a DNS service with some advanced options like health check or geolocation mapping. Right? Basically, you can add the record. While you are adding record, you can even specify this record applies to people who browse from Europe, or this record applies to people who browse from Asia. So Like that, you can have geolocation records as well can be added. Then automatically, based on from which location people are browsing, they would be redirected to a specific IP address or a specific CNAME. That's pretty much about Route 53. So before deleting the website from Route 53, first I should delete all the records that I'm going to do. I'm going to delete all the records that I have added. Then I will delete the hosted. Otherwise, it would be chargeable. The hosted zone would cost you, I think, $1 per month or $0.5 per month. I think it's very cheap, but yeah, it cost you that much per month. So I don't want to be charged. I'm going to delete the hosted zone. So that is all about Route 53. The next service which we want to learn within AWS is, so any questions on Route 53? Is it clear? We already had discussed the DNS service in detail, right? That's why, yeah, I hope it is clear. What is Route 53? What it do? And what I also want you to do is register for a website of your own. Then only it would become very clear to you, because you are doing all these things for the first time, right? So register a website for yourself, add that same website into Route 53. Then you will get a set of name server. Add those name server to your registrar. You have an option. Once you log into your registrar, you have an option to associate your website, associate the domain that you have registered with the name server. You need to associate this name server there. Then basically you officially made Route 53 your official name service. Now you can start adding records into Route 53, a record, MX record, CNAME record. Basically, these are the information you are publishing to the world, the information about your website. If somebody is browsing for the website, to which machine their request should go to, that you do by specifying either an A record or by adding a CNAME record. Or if somebody send out an email to your domain name, to which server those emails should go to, that you mention, that you publish to the world by adding an MX record into Route 53. So do these things yourself. Register for a website, add an A record pointing, or maybe add a CNAME record pointing your website to the load balancer name. That is going to be the next step of your assignment. Register a domain name and use Route 53 to point your website globally to your load balancer name. So what you need to do is add a new CNAME record to point your website, whatever website that you're going to register. Point the website to the load balancer by adding a CNAME record in Route 53. Again, or once again, I will repeat the step that you need to do. First step, register the website with a registrar. For example, maybe GoDaddy. Go to GoDaddy, godaddy.com. There you register for the website, devopstalks.info maybe. Second thing, add the same website to Route 53. Then you will get a set of name server from Route 53. This name server of Route 53, add them into your GoDaddy account. Basically, you are associating your domain name. You log into GoDaddy again. You will see an option to associate your website. That means devopsdocs.info with this name server which you have got from Route 53 in the second step. So association of name service. Association of name server with your devopsdocs.info or whichever website that you are going to register. Now you are done from the DNS part. Now you need to start adding the record. So maybe assignment till yesterday would include you to set up a elastic load balancer and serve your WordPress website using the load balancer, right? So Next thing what you want to do is add a CNAME record to point the website, whatever website that you registered and set up the DNS. Add a CNAME record for the website pointing that to www.yourwebsite.com, pointing that to the name of your load balancer, Elastic Load Balancer. Once you created the Elastic Load Balancer, you will create a name, right, that you can see in the Elastic Load Balancer page itself. So point the website to that particular name. Then now maybe you need to wait for a couple of hours. As you make the changes, it won't take effect immediately. You need to wait for 2 hours or 3 hours. Then only people all over the world, now they when they browse for your website, they would be able to get the page, the WordPress pages from your load balancer. Do this. It cost you, for adding the website to Route 53, it would cost you $0.5. For registering the website, it cost you 180 rupees per year. So this is the only cost. You have your EC2 machine free, right? Your T2 micro machines are free. Even the load balancer is costly, so you don't really need to keep it running for a long time. Once you already have the load balancer ready, just do this testing, then you can delete the load balancer. In the backend, you can run your WordPress machine in T2 micro instances, which are free. So this is the only cost that is involved. Elastic load balancer, you would be charged on a hourly basis. That's okay. You are using for 2 hours, you need to pay only for 2 hours. That's very cheap. It is a negligible charge. Yeah, it's worth the spending, right? Elastic IP is not required. If you are using load balancer, there is no point in having elastic IP, right? You are adding a CNAME record to point to your load balancer, so elastic IP is not required. All right, so that's pretty much. And the next service that we are going to learn, so finish this assignment also, register your own website and set up the Route 53 point, using Route 53 point the website to your load balancer. And till here, I hope you already have completed or you already have been working in. So continue working on this. So the next thing that we are going to learn is SES, the SMTP service of AWS. So just listen carefully. Actually, this is a new service that we are going to learn. You probably don't know what is SMTP at all. So first I will tell you what is SMTP. Maybe this is not a very important topic, or it's not, right? The remaining topics are not too much important. You don't really need to worry too much about the other services. All these services are very important: VPC, EC2, elastic load balances, auto scaling, IAM, S3, Route 53. These are something that you are going to use very regularly. Every company uses these services. They are important services which every company uses. The other ones are basically not so important services that we are. CloudWatch is also important. These three are kind of important, maybe kind of not. And yeah, so I will talk about what is SES and what is SMTP. So SMTP is a global protocol which is used for sending out emails. That's what the purpose of SMTP protocol in the world. Just like what is HTTP being used for? What is HTTP? You know what is HTTP, right? For if you want to browse any website, it is the HTTP request that you are sending to a server machine and getting the pages from a server machine. You want to send an email. So in this case, your browser is the client and the server is nothing but your Apache web server. So this is more like a client server model, right? And client would connect to the server through HTTP protocol, get the response through HTTP protocol. And the purpose is web. For the web services, you use this HTTP protocol. It is a globally recognized protocol which is very common throughout the world, throughout the internet, uh, for web services. For email services, there is another protocol. It is called SMTP. Let's say you send out email, right? Have you ever thought you are sending out an email from your Gmail and you are sending out email to a person who has a Yahoo account or a Hotmail account? Then they can log into their Hotmail. They can see the mail in their Hotmail. How does all these things work? Have you ever thought? How does these emails are going? It is through a different protocol called SMTP. SMTP is the protocol name which is used for sending out email. So let's say this is one guy who want to send an email to some mail server. This is a mail server to which I want to send out. So assume this is nothing but the mail server. We are not going to talk about mail server much, but assume you have a website and you want to set up email for that website. You need a mail server which will receive the email of your website. Somebody tried to send an email to user1 docs.info. Then I need to have some Route 53 settings, of course, that tell the world that this is the mail server of DevOps docs.info. So whoever tried to send out an email to DevOps docs.info, first the DNS resolution will happen, that you already know. Then they will get the machine to which they want to connect to. Okay, fine. So how the connection is working is what we are going to talk about. Let's forget about this DNS part. Basically, you open your Gmail, then click on the compose button. Then you to address you specified someone at the rate hotmail.com or someone at the rate devopsdocs.info. Then you wrote some subject and body. Then you click on the send button. What happens then? The first thing, the DNS resolution will happen. Forget about it. That you already know. The second thing, once this Gmail server got to which mail server it should connect to, it cannot directly connect to that mail server. It does not work that way. Because this is just a client. This is just a computer. The mail passes through maybe multiple relays. And these are called different SMTP servers. Maybe there is only one SMTP server. Maybe there are multiple SMTP servers in the part. Most of the time, it would be just one. So Gmail, it is Gmail responsibility to deliver your email to this machine. What Gmail will do, Gmail would already have set up some SMTP server. Don't ask me what it is. It is actually a server that would take care of this email routing. That's what it is. We are not going to learn about that in depth, but just make a note. If you want to send a email, you must need an SMTP server. Your email has to go through an SMTP server, otherwise the mail cannot go out. It is also possible that you can set up your own SMTP server. That is also an option. You can create a Linux machine. Inside the Linux machine, you can install some software like Postfix, SendMail, QMail. These are different software that you can install on a Linux machine. Then that Linux machine will start acting like a SMTP server. You can actually turn your Linux machine into an SMTP server. That's also fine. But one thing is mandatory. In the world, in today's internet, you want to send out an email, you must need an SMTP server. Your email should relay through an SMTP server to the destination. So when this is your Gmail, you open the browser and then click on the send button. First thing what Gmail does is Gmail will connect your email to the SMTP server of Gmail. Gmail will have number of SMTP servers. To one of those server, they will connect you. Then it is the responsibility of this SMTP server. The SMTP server will receive the email from the client. Basically, you are connecting to port 25 on this machine, or 25, or maybe any port which you already have. This machine is configured to receive, right? Maybe if this machine is listening on port 25, you can connect to port 25. So whichever port the machine listens to, you need to connect to that port. Now it is this SMTP server of Gmail who is this is also called MTA, Mail Transfer Agent. It's his responsibility to transfer the email to the destination. So what this SMTP server would do is it will connect to this remote machine, the mail server of DevOps docs.info, probably on the same port 25, whichever port it would be 25 by default. It is 25. It will connect to the port 25 on this remote machine. Then it will deliver the email to that port. Maybe it's your responsibility. You are running some mail server here which will accept the connection coming to port 25. Then it will receive the email from that particular port. So email will be received in this machine. For any email coming for DevOps docs.info would be received and saved inside this machine. This is nothing but the mail server of DevOps docs.info, or maybe the mail server of Hotmail, whichever mail server the destination mail ID points to. So the important thing that you need to understand is, if you want to send an email, you need a SMTP server. First, you connect to an SMTP server. Maybe sometime you need to authenticate with this SMTP server. Maybe you need to provide a username and password. Probably Gmail already does that. I think you need to Gmail internally would try to connect to an SMTP server. Then tell the SMTP server that he is a authenticated user. He has a mail ID and password. He already logged in. Then he is trying to send out email. So please authenticate him. So there is some way how you can authenticate with this SMTP server. SMTP server sometime would ask this guy, uh, I cannot receive email from everyone. Please prove yourself you are the authorized person. Either you can provide a username and password, or you can provide from which address you are sending emails from, right? A list of settings you need to provide to authenticate yourself with the SMTP server. Then only SMTP server will accept your email, then forward the email to the destination. So SES is nothing but an SMTP server like this. I want to send an email from my laptop. I cannot send out email without an SMTP server. So instead of setting up my own SMTP server, I buy this SMTP as a service from AWS. That's what I'm going to do. That's what SES is all about. I can create this SMTP server in the cloud just by clicking on some button over here on the AWS page. So that's what I'm going to do. Click on services, then go to SES. Simple email service is what SES is. Go to SES. Okay, in Mumbai, SES is not supported actually. So I need to go to one of these region to set up my SES. Go to Ireland, click on EU Ireland. You would be taken to the SES page in Ireland region. Once you are here, click on the SMTP settings. I think you don't need to create it, it will automatically be there. Click on SMTP settings. You will find the details about your SMTP server. You can simply use, they would give you the credential, they will give you the IP address or the host name of the SMTP server, to which port you should connect to this SMTP server, what kind of protocol you need to use, security protocol do you need to use to enrich the security. Then also SCS would ask you, let's say, so what you're doing, assume this is your laptop. From your laptop you want to send an email to some guy, maybe somebody at the rate devopsdocs.com. You want to send out an email from your laptop. What you can do is, there are some email client that you can install in your laptop, like Microsoft Outlook or Thunderbird. There can be some email client that you can install in your laptop. Then inside the email client, you need to mention a SMTP server through which you are going to relay your email to the outside world. Let's say you want to send out an email to Hotmail server. First, you will connect to your SMTP server. In this case, it is SES. You want to connect to the SES server first. Then it is the responsibility of the Amazon SES to deliver your email to the respective destination machine. So what you see right here in my screen, server name is nothing but the name of this SES server. So inside the email client, inside my laptop, I need to specify the settings to which machine I should connect to send my email. Port is 25, 465 or 587. So I can, from my laptop, I can connect to one of this port on this SES server. And I should use some protocol called TLS for security. Basically, you have Microsoft Outlook, which is trying to connect to this SES machine. There is an option you can have a secure connection between your Outlook and the SES server through a encrypted connection, which is called TLS. That's what here. And also SES want you to authenticate with SES. You cannot simply send out email through SES if you know these credentials. First, you should authenticate with SES by providing a username and a password. It is mandatory. That is the extra security setting which AWS provides. AWS does not allow everyone in the world, right? That does not work that way, of course. They cannot just let everyone sending out email through their service. They want to authenticate the people before they could send out, relay their email through this SES server. So you need to provide a username and password to authenticate with SES before you could relay your email to the outside. So you need to create this credential inside AWS SES. It is nothing but you can create an IAM user, right? That's what you do. You create an IAM user who has permission, and basically using those credentials, the username and password, you will authenticate with SES. So I will show you how to do that. Go to the SES page. Then over here you have an option. Click on create the SMTP credential. Automatically you would be redirected to the IAM page. But yeah, I'm going to create a SMTP credentials only. What I do is, click on create button. It would create a user and I can see the username and password. This is the SMTP username. This is the SMTP password. These are the credential. These are the credential my email client should use if it want to authenticate with SES, of course. Great. So perfect. Let me go back to SES. So now I know the host name, the SMTP host I know. I can see those information here, SMTP settings. I can see the host name. I can see the port. I can see the protocol details. I have the username. I have the password that I have already created now. Using this credential inside my laptop, I would use some email client. For example, Microsoft Outlook or Thunderbird. I can use one of these email client in my laptop. Inside open your email client, you will find some settings where you can actually specify the SMTP settings, through which SMTP server you want to relay your email to the outside. Over there, you need to provide these details, whatever server name that you see here, the port number, right? The TLS protocol, you need to check the box to enable TLS. Then you need to provide the username and password that you have created. All these things you need to provide to your email client. Then when you try to send out an email from your email client, it will first authenticate with this SES using this credential. Then the SES will relay the emails to the outside world. Okay, great. So, but there is one more extra authentication that you need to provide to AWS. Actually, it is not only the username and password you need to provide, you should also provide from which mail ID you are going to send out email. Let's say my intention is from address I need to specify, or maybe sometimes I need to specify from domain itself. So that is also one information which SCS want to know. Whichever email address you are sending out email from, let's say from your Outlook you are sending an email, and you put the from address is equal to this, maybe basil@gmail.com. You put from address is equal to basil@gmail.com. You can set any from address. There is nothing like you when you compose an email from Gmail, then the from address will be automatically your mail account. But when you send out email from a mail client, it's up to you to choose your from address. You can do some spoofing. Can pretend you are sending out email from a different mail ID, right? Every mail client allow you to specify your own from address. But AWS want to make sure that if you are sending out an email from a mail ID, you must be the owner of that mail ID. That also AWS want to make sure. So what you need to do is, from whichever mail ID that you want to send out email, you should publish that mail ID to AWS. You need to verify that mail ID with AWS. So this is what you need to do. For that, go to the email address over here, identity management. You can either verify a single mail ID, or you can verify an entire domain. For example, DevOps docs.info. A email sent from anyone at the rate DevOps docs.info. So you are basically verifying the entire domain itself, or you can specify individual mail IDs by going here. So click on verify new mail address. You can specify which mail ID that you want to verify. What AWS will do is they will send a confirmation link to this mail ID. You need to go ahead and click on check your mail. You would have received an email from AWS. You need to click on that particular link, then your email is verified. So either I can verify my email. So if I verified my email, then what it means is now I am allowed to set one of these mail IDs as my from address to send out email through my SES account. I am allowed to send email from these addresses. So this is that's all you need to do. These many things you need to finish before you can successfully authenticate with SES to relay your email to public world. So sometimes you would come across some situation like your development team want to send email from the application. Think about this. Somebody want to register on your WordPress website. They want to create a new account, or maybe they want to add some command. You created a post and they want to add some command. So when they try to add some command, they will be asked for their mail ID, their name, their phone number, then the description and the command that they are adding. When they click on the submit button, then your WordPress would send an email confirmation to him, asking him, please verify your mail ID or something. I mean, what I'm trying to say is your WordPress would want to send out email to people. Sometime you need to click on forgot password link. You forgot your password, you click on forgot password link, then you will receive an email from your WordPress on your Gmail ID. So there are many situations your WordPress website or your web application, Flipkart. When you place an order in Flipkart, then you will get an automated email from Flipkart saying that your order have been successfully placed. So there are many situations you want to send an email from a application. The developer want to send out email from the application. So what the developer would do is, inside the code they would put these SMTP details in the PHP code, in the Java code, or in whatever code that they are writing down. They would specify these settings: the SMTP server, the port number, the TLS protocol. They will turn it on, username, password, the from email header. So all these things they would specify inside the code. Then your web application would eligible to send out email. The email will be automatically relayed through the SES. So in such situations, actually, whenever you are in a situation you want to send out email, mostly you want to do it from your application. So in such situations, all you can do is you can create yourself an SES account. You right now it's only Ireland, Virginia, and only 3 regions support it. Ireland, Oregon, and Virginia. These are the only 3 regions that support it. In one of these regions, you can actually create a SES account, create the SES credential, pass those credentials to your developer. But make sure that if the developer want to send out email from, let's say, sales@DevOpsDocs.info. So whichever mail ID they want to set as the from address, you should make sure that it is verified here. Otherwise, AWS will not allow you to send email through SES. So you got an idea what is SMTP, right? Is it confusing or clear?
Basic.
Yes.
Hello,
If yeah, if we are sending any email through this SES, so the receiver will get an email on behalf of, or it's a simple email. He will never recognize from where the email has come.
Mm, on behalf of, yeah, if you have to send an email through SES, the from address should be verified. That is the thing. So SES.
Okay.
So basically, you
Mr.
cannot
Basil.
actually pretend to be someone else. That's the
Mr. Basil.
That's the whole thing. You cannot pretend to be someone else when you send out email. You should actually specify your correct mail ID that you had already verified within AWS.
Mr. Basil.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, so I wanna just clear that the concept of SMTP server is that without the SMTP you cannot send any email through the Amazon Web Services.